Hello everybody, my name is Ryan Thomas. This is video number 4 of my 2014 NFL Mock Draft 1.0. It might be subject to change, but this is probably the only one I'm going to post given the fact that I don't see the picks changing in any way. I made a bit of a boo-boo on my last video. I had the Ravens picking 16th and the Cowboys picking 17th, when it's actually the opposite. The Cowboys pick 16th and the Ravens pick 17th. I had the Ravens picking wide receiver Mike Evans, and I still do, but my Cowboys pick at 16th will be safety Clinton Dix from Alabama. I feel that he is a huge threat defensively to the opposing defenses. Great defensive playmaker. It might not be the biggest position of need for Dallas, but I think that Dallas would really benefit from having a guy like Clinton Dix, a defensive playmaker. And kind of Jerry Jones is not the smartest guy in the world. The only really good thing that he's done is draft Michael Irvin and Trey Aikman, which were no-brainers at the time. Emmitt Smith was a great college player as well, so that wasn't really like a huge, wow, he found a diamond in the rough with Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith was a great player in college. So there's really no, credit to him at all for the Super Bowls, in my opinion. But yeah, if he was smart, first he would hire someone else to run the team besides himself. I think that he's running the team into the ground. Any other GM would probably have traded Romo by now. He hasn't really done anything to contribute to Dallas whatsoever. And he was rewarded with that ludicrous contract. I was shocked when I read that. But anyway, if they were smart, they would take Clinton Dix, number 16th overall, and then the next pick, which is the pick that should be said already, or should be said for this video, but it was said for the last video, is the Ravens pick Mike Evans, the wide receiver from Texas A&M. Number 18, the New York Jets. The Jets are one of those teams like Dallas where it's like, what the hell are they going to do? I think more now than ever, history has shown that the Jets and the Dallas Cowboys, when they make a pick, it's like, what? Like, what are they doing? You just have no idea what they're gonna do. They're just the 8 ball. You can shake them and ask for who they're gonna pick, and then it comes up, and it's just a completely different person than who you thought. They had the chance to take Dan Marino in the 1983 draft. They took Ken O'Brien instead, which is like, I believe it was Ken O'Brien. Was it Ken O'Brien? Yeah, it was. It's just like, what? But yeah, they are a wild card. But I think more now than ever, this pick is very easy for the Jets. They lost tight end Dustin Keller last year, the Dolphins, and I think that they need a tight end. There's actually quite a few good ones in this draft, but I don't think there's one better than tight end Eric Ebron out of North Carolina. North Carolina has produced some really great prospects in the last few years. Last year, Robert Quinn was drafted by the Rams as a defensive end. He's a great defensive end. UNC has been known as a basketball school, but I think slowly it's becoming a football school. Hakeem Nicks also went to the University of North Carolina, and I think that they're an underrated university. I would say that they do produce good collegiate talent, and I think that Eric Ebron is one of those guys. The Dolphins picked 19th. Oh, and also on Eric Ebron. He's 6'6", almost 250 pounds. He's like a Rob Gronkowski type, so that would be a huge compliment to the Jets' offense. He would probably be their number 1 wide receiver, to be honest. Miami Dolphins selecting picking number 19 overall. They have a lot of issues internally on their offensive line. We all know about the Richie Incognito situation, where they stand with that. He's had many mental problems for the last probably 5 years, and it's been ignored up until now with the whole Jonathan Martin hazing thing. But oddly enough, um, I have them taking an offensive tackle, and his last name is Martin, Zach Martin from Notre Dame. Martin can play both guard and tackle. Obviously, playing for Notre Dame, he didn't play against stiff or crappy competition. He played against stiff, good competition, very good competition. In fact, and Martin was a great protector for Tommy Rees in Notre Dame, and I really feel as if he's the only option really for Miami at this pick. They have Tannehill. They go against tough defenses every year in their division: New England, Buffalo, and the Jets. I think all three of those defenses are good. You really need to take a look at that and figure out what protection do they need. Gotta move my cat. Sorry. And where they will end up. What will happen as far as their situation or whatever. I lost track because my cat distracted me. But Zach Martin, I think, would be the best pick there. Number 20. Number 20, I have the Arizona Cardinals, and this is an interesting pick here. The Arizona Cardinals are one of those teams where it's like, what could they do to really bring them back? They've had a really tough time these last few years since their Super Bowl appearance against the Steelers, which I thought they got screwed. There were some questionable calls in that game, and there were some moments where that last moment where Santonio Holmes caught that pass is like, were his feet in? It was close. It was really close. I thought they were, but when you watch it again, it's like, were they? It was a very tough, very close call, and it was a great catch. You got to give him credit for that. But I have the Cardinals needing certain things, and what they need is not the direction I think they're going to go in, or that they should go in. They signed Carson Palmer last year. They hired head coach Bruce Arians, who was the interim head coach for the Indianapolis Colts, while Chuck Pagano was on leave due to his leukemia or sickness, cancer sickness, whatever he had. And he did a tremendous job. He was great the uh, as the head coach in Indy, and because of that, he got a job somewhere else, left Indy, and went to Arizona. One of the first moves that he really made that showed that he was a coach, on the rise, was bringing in Carson Palmer from the Oakland Raiders and the longtime Bengals starting quarterback. That fit his offense. It fit that Palmer has a good arm. Bruce Arians has a vertical pass-happy attack, but Palmer did not look as if he was competitive anymore to me. He showed shades of playing well, and then showed shades of playing not so well. So it's very tough to gauge what their opinion is of him at this point. They gave up quite a bit to get him, but he's past 30. I don't know what the future looks like at quarterback in the drafts. It's very tough to say. You have no idea, who's going to emerge and who's not. There's one quarterback, in my opinion, left in this draft that should be considered being taken in the first round, and that's quarterback Derek Carr from Fresno State. Most people recognize the name Carr. The last name Carr for a quarterback, his brother, was the first overall pick in the 2001 draft, 2002. It was David Carr, and he went to Fresno State as well, and he was a good quarterback. Obviously, he was taken first overall to lead the way for an expansion franchise at the time, the Houston Texans, but being the fact that they were an expansion franchise, they had no offensive line whatsoever. He was sacked 76 times, which is still a record to this day for the most ever in a single season. And he was ruined after that. He was gun shy. He got hurt, broke his collarbone, had like a neck injury, I believe, and he had a knee injury. He's just all over the place. He was doomed from the moment he was drafted. And it was unfortunate. He's a backup, I think, on the Giants right now, still backing up Eli Manning. Actually, I think he was in San Francisco for a little while. He kicked around. I'm not really sure where he is right now, but that's sad. It's very sad because he was a decent product. given the right situation, he could have really panned out, and we'll never know, what would have happened with him. This situation, though, would be really good for Derek Carr. I feel if which I think that Arizona could pull a rabbit out of their hat and draft him. Um, I think that they need to, and um, I feel as if they should draft him. I feel that if they do draft him, Carson Palmer would be able to mold him really well. They could still start Palmer for a few years, and then they could go with someone else, which would be Derek Carr. And his offense that he ran a shotgun offense in Fresno. So whether he's going to be durable under center is another question. But I think that he wouldn't have to start right away. He would be able to sit and be behind Carson Palmer for a little while, and that would really contribute to his success in the long run. And I think um, Arizona would be better long term, and I think Bruce Arians will be there for quite a while. I don't see him going anywhere. I see him improving the team immensely during his time there, and that would be one way to start. So Derek Carr going to the Cardinals. The next pick, the last pick that I'm going to predict, is the 21st overall, which is where the Green Bay Packers stand. And as I mentioned earlier, and I've mentioned in the majority of my videos, Green Bay had a bad year because Aaron Rodgers was unable to come back due to his injury. He had a bad collarbone injury, and was unable to come back. And they had to start Scott Tolzien, former Wisconsin quarterback. He's pretty good, but not great. Not a guy that you want to come in for Aaron Rodgers. Then they ended up getting lucky and being able to bring back Matt Flynn, who had pit stops in Seattle, Oakland, and Buffalo. And he finally comes back to the team that let him go because he thought he was a starter. It turned out he wasn't a starter, and now he's back in Green Bay, and he does okay. He won a couple games that he needed to, but they had a bad year because Aaron Rodgers was out. And you could say that they need an offensive lineman here because they really have had a hard time protecting Rodgers the last few years, but I think that their defense is at a point now where they need to get somebody, a cornerstone guy, a corner specifically. Charles Woodson is gone now. He's retired. And they need a guy that can really be that cushion, that lockdown guy. And I already mentioned earlier in my other videos, if you're watching this right now, watch the other ones first. Watch them in order. It makes a lot more sense as to why I have these guys where they are at these current picks. Justin Gilbert, the corner from, I believe it's Oklahoma State. I think that he's the best corner left out of everybody that I have being picked. And I can see the Packers picking Justin Gilbert, and I think that he will definitely help their team in the long run. That's all I have for picks 17 through 21. Thanks for watching, guys.